What is going on, NFL fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Pro Football Insiders Football Buffet, where we give you a little bit of everything, just like a buffet, as Week 5 of the National Football League is in the books, and we turn our attention to Week 6. I'm Jeff Hartman, joined by Rob Stats Guerrera. What's up, Stats? How are you?
I'm doing great. 4-1, baby.
Yeah, 49ers. Congratulations to you. Kevin Smith. What's up, Coach?
Doing great as well. Our Pittsburgh Steelers gained ground in the standings without even playing a game. Maybe that should be the recipe for Pittsburgh. Just don't play. And let the rest of the North combust, and we'll be in good shape.
Could not think of a better win on a bye week than what the Steelers experienced with the entire division losing, but that's neither here nor there. We always start the show off with our stories of the week. Coach, I'm going to let you go first. What's your story of the week this week?
So my story of the week is really the emergence of some of the second-year quarterbacks. Really impressive comeback road wins for both Bo Nix and Drake May. I mean, Bo Nix bringing the Broncos back from 2 scores down in Philly is not something that I would have had on my bingo card. I did not see that coming, especially he looked confused. I watched most of that game. He looked confused and frustrated, and, Vic Fangio's doing Vic Fangio things. And then all of a sudden, man, they just kind of changed their approach the last 2 drives where they got everything out on the perimeter and they started rolling him out of the pocket and they caught fire. And I think it's a huge win for a young quarterback. And equally big, Drake May being able to go into Orchard Park and win in Buffalo. That's a really tough place to win. And he looked like QB1. I mean, these 2 guys look like franchise guys. I'm not 100% sold on the 2024 quarterback class yet. Daniels, yeah, excellent. But these 2 guys, I think, have stepped up to the top of the class along with Jaden Daniels.
Now, Rob, your Stats on Fire commentary that you do for Pro Football Insiders, you talked about both of these games. What's your take on these 2 quarterbacks and their big moments?
That is a massive win for Drake May, the Patriots. I feel like that is something that you build on, not only because it was a comeback win, not only because it was against a divisional opponent in the Buffalo Bills who have won that division for half a decade, but also it was prime time Sunday Night Football. The world is on you. I just feel like, these are the moments when we look back, you're going to say there was this game and this was the game I really started to believe and I really started to put it together and that type of thing. I thought it was massive for Drake May and the Patriots. It was a crazy week. In Week 5, the Titans overcame an 18-point deficit. The Panthers overcame a 17-point deficit. The Broncos, obviously, with the 2-score deficit to Philly. The Saints, an 11-point deficit they overcame. And the Commanders, speaking of second-year quarterbacks, overcame a 10-point deficit against the Chargers. Week 5 was nuts.
Is that your story of the week, Rob, is just how crazy it was?
Well, my story of the week is I feel like we're living in the bizarro worlds. Going into the season, we thought AFC really good, NFC, I don't know. And now through 5 weeks, it's kind of the opposite, right? 37% of the teams in the AFC have 1 win or less right now. Who are the best teams in the AFC? It's the Colts, the Jags. Meanwhile, Kansas City and Baltimore are a combined 3-7 on the season. And then when you flip it around and you look at the NFC, there's a 4-1 team in every division. The Eagles can win without completing a pass in the second half. The Lions are scoring 1,000 points a game. The Buccaneers beat everybody on the final play of the game. And the Niners have 0 healthy players and still don't lose. I feel like it's the bizarro NFL. The NFC is good and the AFC is kind of not.
Coach, what's your take on that?
Yeah, Rob's right. And I think the thing that also makes it fascinating is we could be sitting here 3-4 weeks from now and having a completely different conversation. The NFC sucks. These AFC teams have taken off because who knows? This is what the NFL wants. They want parity. They have created it through the scheduling and through the way that they draft. And they've done a phenomenal job of keeping fan bases, unless you live in New York, invested in the product.
All right, before I get to my story of the week, I want to ask Coach a question, just from a football guy. How difficult is it to coach players to hold on to a football while they cross a goal line? I mean, seriously, Rob brought up the Titans losing. I mean, it was a 70-yard run, and the guy just drops the ball before. I don't even know the guy's name, and my apologies. I should probably look that up. There you go. He just drops the ball. I mean, it's a turning point in the game. How difficult is it? And do you ever, I mean, I wouldn't think that you would have to coach this up, but do you have to do that even at the high school level? Hey, guys, remember, we have to cross the plane of the goal line with the ball in our possession. What make sense of it, Coach?
Jeff, you have to coach everything. I'm not exaggerating. But I would say, in all seriousness, this is baffling to me. I can't wrap my brain around how this continues to happen. I just don't drop the ball. Like, that's not a difficult message, and it continues to happen over and over again. I'm waiting for somebody to get cut. Cut a dude. Like, I mean, make an example out of somebody, fall on the sword for the rest of the league and cut a dude, and maybe it'll stop happening.
But it would be one thing if it was like a one-off. This has happened so many times. You think players, they see it, they hear about it. My gosh, it crossed the goal line. Rob, any thoughts on that?
It's insane to me that this keeps happening. This isn't the first time it's happened, or the second time, or the third time. It happens across years. It happened last week. Like, I don't get it. What is the desire to drop the ball so quickly? Just wait till you get to the paint in the end zone. Yeah. That's all. Like, it's really not difficult to do, and it keeps happening. And I know there are a lot of Cardinals fans out there that are saying, well, he really didn't drop it. If you slow it down, it should never even be that close. It's only you have only yourself to blame.
There's the people out there that say that the touchback rule when you fumble into the end zone is antiquated and should be changed. And I hear that when it's a competitive play where two people are colliding and maybe you fumble into the end zone. But when you see stuff like this, no, you should be penalized for that. You should lose possession if you drop the football before you get into the end zone. But my question for you all this week is, Rob talked about it. He alluded to how topsy-turvy this league is right now. How do we decipher the good from the great, the good from the okay from the awful? Because you could say that the Ravens, even at 1-4, with the soft part of their schedule coming up, if they can get healthy, could definitely turn it on and still be a team to beat. I don't think anyone's closing the door on the Chiefs. Yet you have the Jaguars at 4-1. You have the Steelers at 3-1. Guys, how do we decipher the good from the okay, the good from the bad, however you want to put it? Coach, I'll let you go first.
Traditionally, you had some metrics that could do this, right? Who's playing the best defense? Who has the best quarterback? Who's at the top of the league in terms of turnover ratio? These are things that oftentimes define the better teams in the league. But I think right now, just 5 weeks into the season, like, we don't know yet, because the injuries have been so impactful, because games like the Jacksonville-Kansas City game on Monday night, where the Chiefs are playing really good defense for most of the night and then give up this bizarro drive at the very end. Like, there are things that are happening early in the season that I don't want to say defy explanation, but seem like outliers. And I don't know if it's going to be consistent throughout the entire year. And when you don't know, it makes it difficult to discern the good from the not so good.
So if you're standing by your metrics that you use, Coach, who would be the best teams in the league? Is it who we think? Is it the Buffaloes, the Philadelphias? Or are some of these teams that are kind of hanging around, are they more legitimate than we think?
Well, Jacksonville and Pittsburgh are 1 and 2 in the NFL in turnover ratio, +8, +7. And they're a combined 7 and 2. And neither team's great. But by taking it away on defense and not giving it away on offense, then, you can win football games that way. So if you don't have an elite quarterback or you don't have an elite defense, that's a great way to win games.
All right, Rob, what about you? What do you think? How are we supposed to separate the wheat from the chaff here?
Well, I don't think there's any great team. I think everybody has warts, and they've all shown up for different teams throughout the season. To me, I look at a couple different things. So many of these games come down to how you execute in the crucial situations. So to me, I look at how do you execute at the end of halves, at the end of the second quarter, and at the end of games. Can you consistently come through and manage the game in those situations? The best teams, to me, do. And also, I think, who can take advantage of opportunities the best? Like, every team has fluky stuff that happens in a game, right? The Titans are a great example from last week. The Cardinals are going into the end zone. They drop the ball. Tennessee comes back. Cardinals intercept it at the end. Tennessee, recovers the fumble in the end zone. Every team gets opportunities during a game. But what do you do with those opportunities once you get them? That's another one for me. And then the other thing I take a look at is just managing the game, like I talked about already. Time management. situational management, things like that, because so many of the games come down to how you execute in those situations, and the best teams are the ones that handle those the best.
I think sometimes for me, it's just the eye test. And I'll go back to the 2020 Steelers. The 2020 Steelers started off the year 11-0. And anyone that watched that football team knew this team is not as good as their record indicates. And it's little things. Like last week when Rob talked about the Jaguars, because this team can't even get in and out of the huddle properly. Like there's delayed games all over the place. I know. So when you see it, you're like, is this team really that good? Sometimes I think you got to trust what your eyes are telling you. Yes, you can look at the metrics, and sometimes teams do have the ball bouncing their way. They do get the breaks early in the season, but eventually the ball, I always feel like things level out. So I'll be interested in 4 weeks when we have this podcast. Will we be singing the praises of the Jaguars as a team that is atop the AFC or near the top of the AFC, or will they have fallen back down to earth? We shall see. All right, Rob, do you have any commentary this week?
I gave my commentary.
Oh, that's right. That was your story of the week. That's fine.
How many commentaries do you think I have rattling around in this brain of mine?
Rob, I've worked with you long enough. I know you got a lot of freaking commentary up there. It's just a matter of whether you want to say it or not. But let's talk about the games. Let's talk about our predictions. This week is a strange week, in case you're curious. The Thursday night games, Eagles-Giants. Giants coming off their loss to the New Orleans Saints. The Eagles lost their first game, obviously, to Denver. We've got an interesting slate of games here. Sunday Night Football, Lions, Chiefs, Bills, Falcons. Actually, Coach, you wanted to talk about your matchup segment. Was the Lions, Chiefs, wasn't it?
Yeah, Lions, Chiefs, I think is interesting. In particular, if we look at Detroit's offense against Kansas City's defense, I mean, the Chiefs are coming off, again, a Monday night game where they had 476 yards of offense, but some major breakdowns, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. 13 penalties, 5 of those were defensive penalties. They had an interception in the end zone that was going to end that game, and a defensive penalty gave Jacksonville new life, and then they scored on the Trevor Lawrence fall down, try to get up, fall down again, and then eventually run it into the end zone play. I mean, so just ridiculous stuff happening. But when you look at where Kansas City is right now, they're 2-3. Now, they're in a division where nobody appears ready to run away with it. The Chargers are banged up, and Denver, I'm not 100% sold on. Nice win in Philly, but you got to see more of Denver to believe in them. But look at Kansas City's upcoming schedule, man. They've got Detroit this week, arguably the hottest team in the NFL. Then they're going to get a soft game in a week with Las Vegas. But after that, Washington, Buffalo, Denver, Indy in a row. That is a tough stretch. They need to win. I won't say this is a must win, but man, and this matchup is tough. The Detroit Lions have scored 161 points in their last 4 games. That's 40 points a game. And they're averaging 35 points a game for the season. Jared Goff is playing lights out. He's completing 75% of his passes on the year, 12 touchdowns against 2 interceptions. I mean, they've really picked right up where they left off when Ben Johnson departed. And they're spreading the ball around. I think this is the challenge for the Kansas City defense. Kansas City has some vulnerabilities in the secondary in particular. And when you look at what Detroit can do, I mean, they've got a host of wide receivers, Jameson Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam Laporta at tight end. They do a great job dispersing carries between David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. Where do you focus versus that Detroit offense? They're balanced, they're diverse, they're explosive. And so Kansas City, they have their hands full. If they fall to 2-4 with that upcoming schedule, they could be in trouble.
That's a really interesting game, and it's probably the game of the week. We'll talk about some other games on the Week 6 docket. I want to ask you, Stats, first your thoughts on the game, Lions, Chiefs, but then also I want to rewind the tape 2 weeks. But go ahead, what's your thoughts on this upcoming game?
I mean, I was so wrong on the line. I've been wrong pretty much about everything I said on this show so far this year, it seems like. But man, Detroit, they are just a buzzsaw right now. Jared Goff, 12 touchdowns, 2 interceptions on the season. I really had concerns that without Ben Johnson, this offense would just turn back into a pumpkin, and I have been completely wrong. Jared Goff's completing 75% of his passes. They've got 2 running backs averaging more than 4.5 yards per carry. Amon-Ra St. Brown catches everything. He has 6 touchdowns so far this year. Detroit's offense has blown me away. And look, Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes, but to me, I expect Detroit, if Detroit loses to Kansas City, that's a bad loss at this point right now. They should easily win this game.
So let's go back 2 weeks. This was prior to the Ravens Chiefs at Arrowhead. And Rob, you said the loser of this game is not going to make the playoffs. The Chiefs win. But when Coach ran down that slate of games the Chiefs have, I think that loss on Monday Night Football that puts them at 2-3. Do you think they make the postseason?
I think it's a huge question right now, and they're dealing with a little bit of regression. They were 10-0, I believe, in one-score games last season. This season, that is not the case. It's very difficult to consistently make those plays that I talked about in crunch time to win these one-score games. Kansas City has been amazing at it for a long time, and maybe, just maybe, this is the one year where they aren't able to pull it out to the point where when you've got to do that every single week to win games, it's very difficult to do. Maybe this is the one year they don't do that. It wouldn't be the most shocking thing in the world if they don't make the playoffs one year and then, retool and then they're kicking everybody's ass in 2026.
Right.
It's definitely on the table for sure.
Coach, what do you think about the Chiefs? Do they make the playoffs in your opinion right here going into week 6?
Yes, they're going to make the playoffs because they're the freaking Chiefs, because every time that we pronounce them dead, they rise like Dracula. So, I mean, it just feels like here. Hey, we're in Halloween season, so maybe Jason Voorhees is the better example. But I mean, it just feels like, yes, they're up against it right now. But we've seen it time and again, man. Every time we think that they're up against it, they figure out a way. Although, man, again, Detroit and then Washington, Buffalo, Denver, and Indy in a row, that is daunting.
That absolutely is. All right, it's prediction time where we give you some picks, whether it's upset picks, whether it's straight up picks, money line picks, doesn't matter. Coach, what did you give us last week? Do you remember?
Yeah, I gave us the Jets. And they did not come through. And damn it, I'm doubling down. I am picking the Jets every week until they win a football game. They're going to London this week, and they're going to knock off
that's right.
Bo Nix and the Broncos, right? Denver had to travel to Philly, fly back to Denver, fly back to London. They're riding the high. They're going to overlook the Jets. Aaron Glenn's going to do his little strut dance down the sideline. Jets are going to win.
Are you taking that money line, or you think that you're taking the Jets getting 7.5?
I don't know. What the hell? I'm taking the Jets to win, and I'm going to take them every week until they do.
Did you see that stat, Coach? I think I've talked to you about this before, where Justin Fields is 0 in whatever, like 20-some games anytime a team scores more than 21 points against him. Like,
that is a damning statistic.
Goodness gracious, that's insane. I don't know. So you're taking the Jets. Rob, what did you give us last week? Do you remember?
I think I gave you the Rams crushing the 49ers, which shows what I know. Obviously, that didn't happen. I will say, you mentioned that Aaron Glenn thing. Is there a like meme or a GIF or whatever that has aged more poorly than that? I mean, they didn't even win that game that it came from, and they still don't have a win. That's a bold choice by you, Coach. I'm not willing to go that far. I'm actually going to take New Orleans at home against New England. New Orleans is getting 3.5 points. This was a massive win for the Patriots, like I talked about. Maybe there's a little bit of an emotional letdown after playing on Sunday Night Football. Now they got to go to New Orleans, a difficult place to play. I think that learning how to win and dealing with success is also a skill that teams have to have. Maybe the Patriots will be drinking their own Kool-Aid a little bit going to New Orleans. Spencer Rattler has played better than people think this year. So I'll take New Orleans plus 3.5 over New England.
The Saints are much tougher than people let on. Like, people don't watch the Saints because they're god awful, but if you do catch some of their games, they play teams tough. I mean, it's they're not laying down for Kellen Moore, that's for sure.
Real quick, now, Jeff, quick shout out to Kellen Moore. I mean, this is a guy who, in his NFL career, everybody says, oh, well, of course he's been successful because he had Justin Herbert, he had Dak Prescott, he had Jalen Hurts. But like Rob said, he's doing some really good work with Spencer Rattler. I mean, Spencer Rattler is playing some darn good quarterback, which is kind of shocking to me. I thought that this guy would be a career backup, and maybe he will. But for the moment, Kellen Moore's got him operating really well.
Yeah, shout out to him for sure. All right, so last week I went out on a huge ledge, and I said, take the Jaguars on Monday Night Football, getting 3.5. Rob said, I don't know what I'm talking about, I'll go back and get I'll clip that up and put it on social media so Rob can see what he said.
I'm sure he'll appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah.
Wait. But I was right. The Jags went outright. They don't need the 3.5 points. I'm not going to go out on quite a ledge this week, but I'm going to stick with Jacksonville, but I'm not taking the Jaguars. The Jaguars are hosting the Seahawks and are giving 1.5 points. I think Seattle, who actually plays well in the 1 o'clock time zone in the East Coast, they travel. They're used to it. They beat the Steelers in Pittsburgh earlier this year at that time. The Seahawks are coming off a really tough loss to Tampa Bay at home. I think they're going to be pissed. I think the Jaguars on a short week might be riding high, drinking a little bit of the Kool-Aid. I think they beat the crap out of the Jaguars, and I'm going to take the Seahawks for sure on the money line, plus 105 there. If you want to take the points too, sure, go ahead. But I like the Seahawks to beat the Jaguars. All right, let's talk about games of the week. I know that everyone wants to talk about Titans Raiders, the battle of 1-4 teams. No, we're not talking about that game. That might be the dud of the week in Vegas. But still, I'm looking at one that Rob Stats Guerrera is going to be watching closely. The 49ers and Buccaneers in Tampa Bay, both 4-1. Rob, what do you think about this one?
This game is going to be so much fun to watch because Baker Mayfield is absolutely cooking right now. Emeka Egbuka is having one of the best rookie seasons we've seen in recent memory. Tampa Bay is really, really freaking good. I know they're banged up. It doesn't look like Bucky Irving's going to play in this game. I don't know if Mike Evans' hamstring is going to let him go, but Tampa Bay is still really good. And Robert Saleh for the Niners is on one, man. I know the Niners have given up some big yardage totals, but you look at the points and you look at what the Niners have done situationally on defense this year. They have really been outstanding. This is going to be a game where the Niners have to lean on Robert Saleh to slow down Baker Mayfield and company. I give him a chance to do it. Even though the Niners are banged up, I have faith in Robert Saleh. It's going to be a hell of a game. I think it's going to be another one of those games where the Bucs, a minute to go, have a chance to drive down the field and do it again, and we'll see if they can actually come through one more time.
Tampa Bay's giving 2.5 points, and the total on this game is 47.5. 4:25 kickoff. Coach, what do you think about this game of two NFC powerhouses right now?
Yeah, it's going to be a great game. I'm in the process of doing a Emeka Egbuka film room. I'm not trying to be Captain Hot Take here, but man, I think he's already a top 5 receiver in the NFL. His route running and the way he sets defenders up. I mean, his football IQ is through the roof. I had a chance to interview him at the NFL Scouting Combine. I could have sat and talked to that guy all day. I mean, he had a passion for his craft, and you can see it paying off already. He has become, 5 games into his NFL career, Baker Mayfield's go-to guy when he needs a big play. And that's saying something. For me, I mean, it's too early to say this definitively, but he's the rookie of the year.
Okay. Coach, is there a game that you're looking at in particular of this week's slate of games?
Well, I mentioned it before, but I just love that Kansas City Detroit matchup. They always say in boxing, right? Styles make fights. And you have this great stylistic matchup between an explosive Detroit offense and then that Kansas City defense who's tasked with slowing them down in what is a pivotal game for Patrick Mahomes. So I'm really interested in how does Patrick Mahomes play in this game? How does Jared Goff play? They've both been on big stages, but now Jared Goff is actually playing better football than Patrick Mahomes. It'll be interesting to see if that plays out this week.
Rob, any other games you're looking at on this docket?
I think Seattle-Jacksonville is a really good game. Sam Darnold scored touchdowns on 5 straight drives last week and still lost.
Yeah.
Which is insane. He is playing at a level. I did not think he was going to be able to keep that going from Minnesota. I thought, all right, he's leaving Kevin O'Connell. I think he's going to be more like the guy that we saw. He has played really well this year. He's thrown some passes. That one pass to Jackson Smith and Jigba was like a 60-yard moon ball. I was like, holy hell. Considering how Seattle has played and the fact that Jacksonville's coming off a big win, I think that game is going to be way more interesting than I thought it was going to be when this schedule came out in May and I saw it on the slate.
The only other game that I think might be sneaky good on this docket is the second Monday nighter. We have another doubleheader where they're putting them up against one another. Bears Commanders. We're going back to the scene of the crime in Washington. This was the game that broke the Bears in half last year. That was the Hail Mary play, which tips right to the receiver. Everything went south for Chicago and Caleb Williams after that game. This should be a good one. Coach, I want to get your take. Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels. What do you think about this primetime matchup?
Yeah, that's an intriguing matchup. But every time I think about that, I just can't get over the video from last year of Bears cornerback Tyreek Stevenson taunting the crowd while the play is going on. The ball has been snapped. Guys are sprinting towards the end zone, and his back is to the play, taunting the crowd. How did he not get cut? Well, because he was a high draft pick. That's how. But my goodness.
Yeah. Rob, any thoughts on that game?
You know, if you're the Bears, like, you got to come out with a good plan. You're coming off a bye, right? You've had extra time to prepare. I need to see it. Ben Johnson, like, where is this offense that, you had in Detroit with all these innovative plays and all of that? Right now, as a head coach, I have not been impressed with Ben Johnson. There's still obviously time. He's only 4 games in, so I want to, make sure I make that clear. But, like, these are the games when your head coach is supposed to give you a schematic advantage that maybe you steal, especially with extra time. So let's see it, Ben Johnson, against a good Commanders team.
All right. Coach, let's talk about your Call Sheet podcast as well as what you got going for Pro Football Insiders.
Tuesday on Pro Football Insiders, I had a film room up on the Broncos comeback over the Eagles. How did they do it? What did they do on offense to engineer that comeback? The Emeka Egbuka film room will be up shortly. And then Wednesday on the Call Sheet, that's our whiteboard show. Frank Lasasso, longtime coach here in Southern New Jersey, is with me. And we're breaking down coverage disguises. How do NFL teams disguise coverage? Why do they never play the coverage that they line up in anymore? Everything is pre and post snap rotations, etc. So we're going to get into all that.
Love it. Rob, what about your 49ers coverage?
We're live every single weekday on YouTube and Twitch, Facebook, all that stuff. Today we're going to be talking a little fact or fiction for the 49ers because, there's some people that think the Niners are going to the Super Bowl. There are other 49er fans that are thinking we're kind of doing this with smoke and mirrors. So we're going to separate fact from fiction on today's show.
Love it. And you can check out our Pittsburgh Steelers coverage at the Steel Curtain Network. SteelCurtainNetwork.com is the website, or anywhere you get your podcasts or any social media platform by searching Steel Curtain Network. But that does it for another PFI Football Buffet. Week 5 in the books, looking ahead to Week 6. Guys, I'm full. We'll see you next week.